Hi, and welcome to NicheCraft. My name is Cassie, and I'm your host, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this blanket, which is made using the Herringbone half double crochet and Lion Brand's mandala watercolors. Now, for this particular blanket, I alternated between tea berry and grape, which are the two colors in this, but I am going to show you how to make it with a different colorway, so I just wanted to make sure you guys knew exactly how to make this. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using Lion Brand's mandala watercolors in the colorway Wild Pansy. So this is a nice colorway filled with blues and purples and yellows. With this weight 5 yarn, I'm using an M or 9mm crochet hook, but for your project, I would suggest using whichever crochet hook works best for the weight of yarn that you're using. I would recommend that you use a 3, 4, or 5 weight if you want to really make this stitch shine. First, we're going to make a slip knot and put that slip knot on the crochet hook. Next, we're going to chain as many chains as we need for the blanket to be as either tall or wide as you want it to be. For this tutorial, I'm going to be chaining 20. So once your chain is either as wide or as tall as you want your blanket to be, I want you to chain 2 more because that is the turning chain here. For row 1, you're going to identify the third chain from the hook. That's 1, 2, 3. And you're going to make a half double crochet into the third chain from the hook. Pull up a loop, pull through all 3 loops. Next, you're going to continue to place a half double crochet into each chain space all the way across until you get to the end of your chain. And again, a half double crochet is yarning over, putting your hook through the next chain space or stitch, pulling up a loop, and then pulling through all 3 loops on your hook. Once you have crocheted all the way across, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Row 1 of the herringbone half double crochet is actually the repeat row. It's just a 1 row repeat and it works up really quickly. What you're going to want to do is yarn over, and we're going to continue to make half double crochets. However, instead of going into these top 2 loops, we're going to turn our work to the side, and you'll see that this loop right here that's underneath, right, that this 2 right here looks like those top 2 loops right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, and we are going to put the crochet hook into that side loop right there and the front loop of the stitch. In other words, we're going to work from the front of our work as if these are the stitches rather than the top is the stitches. So let me show you. Yarn over, put a half double crochet into those front 2 loops like that. Yarn over again, find those 2 loops. Now if you turn it that way, it'll look like that's the 2 loops, right? Now that's the normal stitch. That's what we'd normally be going into, but we're not going to go into that. Instead, we're going to turn, we're going to go into these side 2. We'll continue to make these half double crochets into the front 2 of those all the way across. All right, so I'm going to continue to put a half double crochet into not the top, but into the side right here, all the way across until I reach the end, and then I'll meet you back up there. See you then. All right, so I'm almost all the way done, and I've reached the very last stitch, and I just want to point something out about this stitch. When you come to the very last stitch, it might be a little bit more difficult to get your crochet hook underneath this. I don't know if it's the way that I crochet or if it's this way for every crocheter, but you just put your Put your crochet hook underneath, just like you do in all the other stitches, and you pull through. I just wanted to mention that if you have a little bit of trouble on that last stitch, I do too. Alrighty, so now we are going to begin row 3 by chaining up 2, 1, 2, and turning your work. And you can start seeing that here is a beautiful little ridge, just like in the blanket that I showed you at the very beginning. Now, remember how I said that to begin with, you should make the amount of chains as either you want in width or in length? Well, here's something that's really cool about the herringbone half double crochet. Let me go ahead and zoom out so you can see a little bit better. Because we're creating these ridges, sometimes people prefer to make them vertical rather than horizontally. Now, I like both. So when I ended up making my blanket, the tea berry and grape one, I ended up making that blanket a square so that it would work either way. But regardless, if you want yours to have vertical stripes, just remember to make the starting chain as long as you want your blanket. And if you want to make it horizontal stripes, then just remember that that's going to be the width of your blanket. All right? So for the third row, we're just going to continue to repeat what we did in the second row. We're going to yarn over, and then we're going to go into that side rather than the top. Make your half double crochets into every previous stitch from the row before, all the way across until you get to the end. At this point, every single row past this is going to be doing the exact same thing. Just wanted to show you by turning this over that now we have a ridge on this side as well. So this is a reversible pattern, which is amazing. As you can see, the herringbone half double crochet is not a whole lot of work, and it ends up working up in this really beautiful pattern that can really highlight colors that are both variegated and also colors that are solid. The stitch kind of speaks for itself, super easy, and it works up so fast. And if you're using a 5-weight yarn like I did with the Lion Brand watercolor, then you're going to end up working this up so quickly that you'll have a blanket in maybe even a weekend, depending on how much time you decide to devote to your project. I definitely recommend using Lion Brand's mandala watercolor to make blankets with, just because it is so plush and soft, and it ends up having almost a fleecy feel when you're done. The only downside with the mandala watercolor is that there aren't very many colors available in that particular line. Now, it might be difficult to find another yarn that works up just like Lion Brand's mandala watercolor does, but what I would recommend if you're not using Lion Brand's mandala watercolor and you still want that same plush feel is to go ahead and use a superwash wool or a wool blend. You might want to go with even alpaca, and you should be able to get a very similar, almost fleecy feel to it. I really like this pattern, and like I said before, it is super easy, and it ends up working up looking like you know a whole lot more than you have to in order to make this. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching to the end. Remember, I have a giveaway going on right now, and I have a whole lot of other yarny content coming to you. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, like the video, and leave a comment letting me know what other kinds of tutorials you would like for me to do. Bye for now.